Hi, and welcome to TapeDeck Sessions with me, Josh Hayes, brought to you by TapeDeck. TapeDeck is the new online platform that connects casting directors with actors and creatives to send, receive, organize, and view self-tapes in one easy-to-use platform. Thank you for joining us. Here on TapeDeck Sessions, we chat to some of the industry's most exciting actors, agents, casting directors, and creatives. And what a guest we have on the show today. She is part of one of the most exciting shows on UK television right now, with her starring role in the widely acclaimed Channel 4 series We Are Lady Parts, as well as recently completing work for Vera on ITV. Her CV is a very impressive one, with theatre credits that include the National Theatre, Northern Broadsides, and the Royal Shakespeare Company. It is my pleasure to welcome to TapeDeck Sessions, Sarah Kameela Impey.
That was epic. Oh my God, can you walk around with me every day? Just walk into a room.
Absolutely.
Take it away.
Absolutely. More than happy to do that. Yeah. I'll just be your town crier as you walk around London.
We can get a bell. It's all cool.
Yeah, I won't need one. Let's be honest.
No, you won't.
It's fine. I'll just make it work. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's really, really good to have you on. So, Sarah, the first thing we say to every guest that's on the show is take us right back to the beginning. How did you get your start in the business?
So I got my start, I think it was a few months after graduating, and I had gone on many, many, many auditions. And then this project came up that was going to be in the Eden Project. And it was kind of this revolutionary Bengali soldier role. And it was insane. I didn't know the accent at all. I'd never studied a Bengali accent. So I had to look it up on YouTube and quickly kind of assemble something together. And then I was cast in it. And it was absolutely incredible to go and have that experience, act with older actors who'd been in the industry for a long time. But it was also a mad time because there was a massive flood at the Eden Project. And so on our first night, we couldn't perform there because the Eden Project was under about 3 inches of water. The whole thing. Yeah, the whole thing. We were in a cottage at the top of this mountain. And we couldn't even drive down to get to the Eden Project because it was kind of the loop in the road was full of water.
Wow. What a baptism of fire.
Yeah, it was so, there was an incredible moment when we finally got into the Eden Project where they were playing, because obviously it got speakers all around it, and they were playing this incredible music as we walked into the scene, because obviously the stage is like in the middle of the jungle, like right inside it. And I was just like, this is such a monumental moment, like literally ushered in to the career, just like, woo.
What a first gig.
It was really good.
And then take me back a little bit further then. So you went to ArtsEd, you trained at ArtsEd. How did you find the whole drama school experience?
I loved drama school. I feel like I auditioned the first year when I was 18, but then I just didn't feel ready. I think I just felt like I hadn't had enough emotional and life experience. So I did the gap year and went and just traveled and volunteered in Brazil for 3.5 months to kind of get a little bit more me. And I came back with so much experience, and then went to ArtsEd, walked in for the first time, and was like, whoa, I just loved the energy and the atmosphere. And there were so many people running around and singing and being joyful. And then I feel like I met some of the most incredible people ever in life at ArtsEd. Like, yes, I went to do the work and to learn techniques and try things out, but the people taught me more than anything. You know, you have all these character studies of people now that you can use. And I think I've lived maybe like a slightly sheltered life in Ipswich. You know, it's a small town. It's very multicultural, but meeting the people that I did at drama school, I was like, wow, life can be so different for everyone. And as an actor, to have sympathy and empathy and be able to understand what everyone's been through is massive.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially at such a young age as well. I know 19, 20 is still relatively young, isn't it?
Yeah. And it really surprised me, actually, because I think I don't really know what I went in thinking I was going to do. I'd read some Bertolt Brecht and I was like, yeah, cool. Let's say some lines here and there. But actually the challenge of day to day, like improvisation, trying out new things, Meisner, that whole epic dramatic year, and doing, you know, multiple different styles of TV and voice and theatre. I just think, yeah, it geared me up so much for the industry, especially because we had dance and music and singing as well.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of drama schools don't actually do now. But
Really?
I think it's so important. Yeah. So many, you know, even arts ed changed to a film school shortly after.
Wow.
Yeah, shortly after leaving. And I think it's a shame because you walk into a room, you honestly don't know what's going to be thrown at you. Like suddenly someone's like, "Oh, can you sing this?" Like, okay.
And then to sort of compare that, then obviously that's a wonderful experience at drama school. How did you find it then as a graduate coming out of drama school into the big bad world?
Really awful.
Really?
Awful. Yeah, really awful, because I think there's this kind of element when you're in drama school of keeping the dream alive. You know, if you've been in the industry for a while and you go back to a drama school to speak, you can feel the like prepared energy that's bursting out, and you don't want to like stamp that out and be like, welcome to reality, guys. But I feel like we had this professional practice talk just before we left, and the person who came in to do it, incredible actress Laura Haddock, came in to do it, but she had an incredible career, as in 3 months after she left, she got this massive TV filming gig. And I think it was just very unrealistic to most of our experiences what was going to happen. And I feel like I left and suddenly I was very pigeonholed into one type of person. And honestly, every casting that I was given just said Bengali girl. They didn't even have a name, like no character name, Bengali girl. And I thought, wow, I don't know what that is. You know, my heritage is from Guyana, South America. Like, yes, I understand that I look Indian, and partly I'm Indian, but yeah, to have not really studied what that is to be a Bengali girl and to go in and not having, you know, specifically done the accent either. Wow. Be like, right, okay. And even to the point where I would go into auditions and my hair is curly, and as soon as I walked in, they'd be like, your hair is curly. I say, yeah. And they're like, yeah, Indian people don't have curly hair. And I was like, well, yeah, they do. Like, some people do. What? And they wouldn't even let me audition. They would just send me away. And then so I learned very quickly to straighten my hair. And I would go in and at least be able to read the lines to someone. And that's so, incredible. Yeah. So a lot of the first roles, you know, that role in the Eden Project was a revolutionary Bengali soldier. And then I played Scheherazade in Arabian Nights. So it was just all similar people.
Yeah. And then, so then how then, because that's fascinating, going from this high of drama school to then this almost reality check of what's actually awaiting you. And how then, obviously, your career now is in a wonderful place. Your CV is incredible. And you've done some wonderful work. How was your approach to the industry and the work? How has that changed over the years?
Do you know what? I don't think it has changed.
Really?
I think from the beginning, I always said yes. I was like, I'm just going to say yes and see where it gets me, and try and hold my arms open. No matter how many, you know, rejections come in, I think at the end of drama school, they say only 5% of people will work. And I think you're either two type of person. You're the person who says like, oh God, you take it on and you're like, it's not going to be me. Or you're the person who says, it's definitely going to be me. And I think holding on to the idea that it's something that I have to do, like I love it so much. And there's definitely been highs and lows when you're just like, oh, I don't feel like I am being seen in the industry, or they don't want me, like that the person that I am, I can't give all of myself to a role. But I think through that, just holding my arms open means that things have come in and the business has changed enough for the right things to now be present. But it took a long time. I mean, I did theatre for 10 years before I did Lady Parts, before I did any TV. So I was just like waiting, like when am I going to be, or when is the industry going to be ready for me?
Wow. Yeah. It's so interesting, that mindset of arms. I love that idea of having your arms open, just letting it come to you and taking it on and saying yes. It's such a wonderful way of thinking of it.
Yeah. And then eventually you'll be in a place where you can say no, but you know when you're there.
Really?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, you do, because once you've done something that has really satisfied you in terms of the complexity of the character you get to play, I think then more offers come in, as you would hope if you're platformed in a certain way and people know you're alive and in the industry. Hi. And so more things come in, and then you actually get to make the choice of, is this building my career? Or have I done this before? Am I actually going to grow and learn anything from this? So then you get to look at something and go, if it, and we have more responsibilities in life, don't we? We have partners and we have things that we have to pay for. So you go, is this worth my time? Whereas before, I'd just do it.
And that's really interesting. You mentioned there about sort of what's the thinking behind sort of decisions with roles. Is it a case of going, I just really want to do this project because it'll creatively fulfill me, or is there sometimes a sense of going, well, I'm not that enamored with the material, but I know it's going to move me in the direction that I want to go, so I'm going to say yes anyway. What's that balance? How do you manage that balance?
Yeah, it's hard to manage. It's hard to manage because, as well, the more people you get to know, the more projects you want to do for people. And I always want to help friends out and make connections and help other people meet other people. But it's hard to balance. But sometimes you go, oh, wow, doing this project will actually afford me more time to work on something that I love. And it's very, and sometimes with plays, like I love doing plays, and I haven't done a play since 2019, and it's killing me. But it takes so much more time. So fitting it into your schedule is so much harder. So it would have to be a real passion project, I think.
And that's interesting that you talk about people as well. I'd not really considered it in that way of not just it being about the material, it being about the writer, the director, or the company.
Yeah. Especially when you've been in something that a lot of people have seen. It's like they then want your representation in a different way. And when it's friends, it's just like, okay, yeah, I'll be in this, or I'll say this for you, or I'll anything, because we all have to take the stepping stones for each other. Like, it's that thing of pulling up the ladder, isn't it? It's like once the ladder is up, you put your hand down and you bring the next person up. Yeah, which is exactly what Nida did for all of us who are in lay parts. Like, she wrote this thing that suddenly we were like, whoa, that's like all of our life experiences in one. Whoa, we get to be ourselves.
And that's so rare. We speak to a lot of actors, and actually having that project, the actor Bill Ward talked about it, and he said, it's so rare that you get a full meal. Usually there's something wrong. It's either it might be an amazing piece of work, but it doesn't get well received, or it wasn't a nice job to actually be on, or it's so rare that you get something where every facet of that job is beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see it, like, you can feel off screen, on screen, like the chemistry and the fact, especially if it's comedy, because you have to be so relaxed to risk in the way that comedy asks you to risk, because you can fall flat on your face. So some things you do are not funny, but at least you get to try. And I think that's the thing with Lady Parts, because we filmed the first one in lockdown. So there was so much against it in terms of us having to be in bubbles and everyone having to wear masks and distance. But there was not one complaint, because everyone was so happy to be there all the time, that it was just like, okay, this works so well. And we still felt so free in such a tumultuous time.
Yeah. And so in terms of just going back at it again, leaving drama school, having quite a challenging time of it. How was your relationship with agents coming out of drama school and then through your career? How have you found that?
I've found it, the agent that I left drama school with, I think because the play they saw me in, I played a man. It was kind of, a strange introduction. So they didn't actually know that much of what I could do, but kind of probably cast me in quite a weird category. So the multi-rolling-esque touring stuff was on our radar, like, from the beginning and for a really long time. But I found it really hard to then move out of that box with that agent. And actually, not naming names, but I don't actually think that agent is an agent anymore. But we had a problem where every time they'd come to see me in a show, they'd always be the last to leave and would like try and go back to like the writer's house for a drink. It would always get back to me, and I was like, this doesn't feel like this is how the relationship could. I felt like I had to tell them off. Be like,
Really?
Can you just be an agent? Can you just be my agent? And then I joined another agency, and they were really, really encouraging. I felt like they had so much passion and energy for me at the beginning, and they saw me through so much theatre. But I think from the beginning of that relationship, I really wanted to get into TV and start that journey. But again, they had put me in this box of, she tours, she does this, you know, and they kept saying, you know, oh, you have to get that first job, don't you? And what I don't understand is, like, some people come out of drama school straight into a TV job. You know, if someone's not going to give you your first job, how are you ever going to get your first job? It baffled me. And so I felt like that was kind of just a little bit of an excuse to keep me in that box. So I was making the money in that box. Little did they know I could have made them so much more money on TV. Shame. But and then I got Lady Parts, and actually through Lady Parts I changed agent again.
Nice.
And I'm really happy. And this agent actually was maternity cover for another cast member, and so I already knew that the work they did was so deep and authentic and lovely. And I feel like I've grown 10 times the amount I have in like 3 years than I did in 10.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you put that down to? Because that's a massive thing to say.
It is. I put it down to getting to know me as a person and believing that anything is possible. Like, I don't ever feel like she put me in any box or suggested I should be in a box. It was more actually going off what I needed and I wanted, like actually asking the question, where do you see yourself, or does this trajectory feel good? And then finding so much honesty in the way they responded to jobs that were coming in. And it, you know, there was no, it was all transparency. It was like, okay, this would be good for that, but then you'd have to think about not doing this. And I was like, okay, amazing. It's not just do this because it's here and it's money.
Yeah.
It was like, what's actually good for you? How do you feel? I was like, really, really nice. But and would also not block anything. If something came in, just in case it was a friend, they'd be like, is this a personal project? Do you want to actually go up for it? Yeah, just communication. Really, really good communication.
Yeah, that's a really nice way of growing, I suppose, through the industry. Actually, that. And then similarly, how do you approach castings differently since you came out of drama school? Have you always had a particular approach to it? How have you approached auditioning, castings throughout your career?
Again, so much prep, all the prep. And then, I mean, it's changed so recently because I can't remember the last time I went into the room. You know, there's so many self-tapes now that I think my approach is very, very different in terms of learning and prepping and being able to like really decipher what kind of performance you want to give. I still love going into the room because you get so much more personality time. You know, they see the character, but they also see you. But doing tape after tape can be really tough. Like, obviously, there was a time, probably last year, that I think in a space of a couple of months, I did about 40 tapes and didn't hear anything. And what it does to your mental health is crazy because there's no closure. There's no closure for these things. So you kind of don't also have any way of monitoring your growth and your performance. You don't know what to change, when to change it. So me, but obviously my partner is also an actor, which is incredible because at least then we can give each other advice, try different things, try and prep before the tapes. But actually, like, going into the room now because it's been so long, gives me the sweats. Like, absolute sweats. it's just such a different medium. Like, it's actually hard to take in the people and be like, well, I have to say lines, sorry.
So that is fascinating. So talk to us about the difference then in approach between in the room. Obviously, you said prep. You do all the prep.
Yes.
Talk to us about the difference then between taping, your sort of prep between taping and being in the room.
Yeah. So with being in the room, obviously, you don't know how many takes you're going to get in the room. So you have to have a really strong idea of how you want to deliver it. And at least try to stick to that, or be open to the direction that they're going to give. So you're equally as resolved in what you're doing as flexible. So you're kind of in between those two things, and trying to be a normal person and talk and not be weird, or be affected by other people going in the room. Like, I forgot about that. Like, I went for an in-person thing, and the girl came out first, and they were howling with laughter. It's not even a funny script. Howling with laughter. And I went in and was like, yeah, and made a joke. And it was all like, it was so rubbish because it's not even a funny piece. Like, get to know me. It was so embarrassing. And I made the joke and it was dead silent. But, oh, I should just go. Let me just go. But yeah, that prep. Whereas opposed to self-tapes where you have all the time that you can have. So you could try it every which way you would like, and then send them multiple versions. Technically, we probably could do that in the room and say, look, I also could probably play it like this, but you don't really get that chance, I don't think. But also you don't, with the tapes, you're not going to get the direction or interaction. So you have to kind of self-direct and self-edit. So yeah.
And do you think I mean, like, so how long would you take for a self-tape? We speak to some actors and they're like, I take 4 hours. I backlight it. And then, like, some people, like my wife is an actor, and she's like 20 minutes done.
Yeah. It totally depends. And people come to our house to self-tape because we've got all the equipment, and because we're both actors, we can read with them. And everyone is so different. Like, some people, they've just decided they do 3 takes of the same thing and then we're done. And some people will spend an hour or 2 hours doing 7 takes of completely different versions and then only send a couple. I definitely sit in the bank of, I go in with as strong an idea of who I think this character is as possible, and then at least I know within that realm, like, the quality of it, I can change the quality of that specific thing. Whereas I think if I went, okay, I'm going to play this one angry, I'd be like, oh, I don't know if it's her. But my agent comments specifically on how particular I am about the costume. She's like,
Really?
you really try and dress like the character, don't you? And I don't need to. I don't know why.
Do you really go for it with the costume then?
I absolutely go for it. Yeah, I try and change my hair, I change my makeup, and just give them as strong as idea. Because you don't know how much of the tape they're even going to see. There's no system that tells you, oh, they've watched it all. So if you talk to some casting directors, they've been really honest and said 20 seconds, probably, like, to them. And you're like, okay, so at least in that first 5 seconds, you're going to see what I think the character will look like.
Yes.
Immediately.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way of thinking of it, actually.
Yeah.
How have you seen the industry change in that time, particularly off the back of COVID and then the writers' strike? How have you found the change in the industry?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. I mean, even it's took baby steps before COVID in terms of inclusion and diversity, which obviously I will be hot on because it means I'm in more things, which is great. COVID was a strange one for me because everything shut down, but Lady Parts, it was our year. So it was really strange to kind of field other actors' emotions while celebrating something that had never happened for me before. So it was a really strange thing. But over the years, it's been really tough, and especially after the strike, I feel like it feels like it's kind of in stasis, the industry. Like, the movement has stopped, in my opinion. Like, I don't feel the rolling of it. I don't feel like there's a build. I feel like people are just trying to find their feet and choose things maybe they know are going to be popular instead of taking risks anymore. It's been interesting when I've had producers meetings after this, and they've just said, oh yeah, you know, well, we're looking for the next lady parts, and I'm like, well, that's really tough because you're not going to find it. Like, and that's not the point. Like, lady parts showed you that it's difference that should be celebrated and reaches the most people. So find something else, find a new story, more chemistry, more. There's so many stories to tell that we haven't even touched. Yeah, but the self tapes have definitely slowed to a halt. So everyone's going, what else can I do?
Yeah. And with that in mind, then, so what do you? I was going to ask you, what do you think the future holds? But actually, I think a better question would be, what do you think the future needs? What would you like to see?
Again, I feel like the future needs more bravery. I think reaching out for more people to tell stories and honoring the fact that so much is happening in the world that you're never going to write something that everyone's going to love. In fact, the more not unbalanced, but the balance between people loving it and people hating it, the more you're actually saying something that's truthful. So I think, yeah, more bravery, more risk, less censorship, and yeah, just people kind of collaborating again, being okay with starting afresh and from the beginning and meeting each other and going, okay, we're all in this room, what should we create, instead of the same old thing being pumped out that doesn't teach anyone anything.
Tell us 3 things that you love about your job.
Oh, just 3.
You can have more. You can have 4 or 5.
Playfulness, intergenerationality, is that a word?
It is now.
Yeah, working with so many different generations of people.
Talk to me about that. That's really interesting.
Oh yeah, like never before, I think, in jobs will you work with someone who is 70 and someone who is 18 while you're somewhere in the middle. Let's not say when. And just get to, like, you're all in the same industry, you're in the same play, you're all learning at the same time, but you all also can share your different experiences. It's amazing. And who you gravitate to, I just love it. And as you get older, you become the different person. Suddenly you're the 70-year-old and someone's coming under you. I just absolutely, I love that about it. I think it's so great.
That's amazing. Okay, so playfulness, intergenerationality.
And magic.
Okay.
I love the magic, like those magic moments where something just fits into play, like a scene is just like
wicked. Okay, that's great. So if you could change one thing about the industry, what would it be?
It would be a better system for self-tapes, so that you would so on brand.
So on brand. I haven't even paid you for that.
No, I know, exactly. Done. Better system so that you see that it's been received. They can easily just tell you a no. It's not hard. It's 2 letters. You can even press 1 button so that you can close each chapter. And yeah, so you at least know if you're in the mix or not.
If you could play a role in any play, musical, or film, what would it be?
This is well hard. I'm really obsessed with June.
Really?
Yeah, I love it. But mainly I love it because of Hans Zimmer. Like, the one of the reasons that I always wanted to be an actor was because film music just made me so emotional. I just like crawl on the floor to like some scores. So it's quite strange as a child. But then I remember realizing that you don't listen to the music while you're acting. I was like, what? Then how are you meant to know what to feel? What? It's created after. That's crazy. But yeah, June, I just think the music is so epic. The shots, I'd love to film in the desert and tell like a really deep story. So like a Fremen, love to be a Fremen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, it'd be wicked.
That's a great choice.
Thank you.
Awesome choice.
Do you like June?
I love
You're a
Dune.
fan? Yeah.
Absolutely. I love Denis Villeneuve. I think he can absolutely, he can do anything.
He
And
can.
that
Yeah.
source material, I don't think people understand how difficult that is to put into the book. It's such a behemoth and so challenging. The as a piece of storytelling, I think Dune is mega.
Yeah, absolutely
So,
mega. Yeah, the books are fat. Like there's
yeah,
fat books.
they really are.
But I think to pay homage to the book in the right way for the readers, it's always going to be a challenge. But I think he smashed it out of the park.
Okay, and so you're on a desert island. You get one play.
Please.
You get one play. You get one film, and you can have one musical.
This is so hard. I think the film would be a Never-Ending Story. It's so magical, and
it only lasts for 94 minutes. So
yeah, exactly. But if I could have the trilogy, that'd be even better.
You can have the trilogy. You can take the box set.
Thank you. I really appreciate that because it just grows and grows, and the characters are great. I think I'd never tire of it. I think it's so magical.
Okay, great. It's a Never-Ending Story.
Play. Oh, a lot of the plays I really love are actually quite depressing. So maybe I wouldn't like People, Places, and Things comes to mind. I really love the ins and outs of it.
Oof.
I know, but I wouldn't take it. I'd take I do what? I'd take a play I saw last night, which was at the Kiln Theatre, and it's called Peanut Butter and Blueberries.
Okay.
And it's a really beautiful rom-com style play, but it's just very, very clever.
Nice. Okay. And I was going to say musical, but if you want, you can have a score.
Oh, what? Oh, I'd take the Dune score.
Would you?
Yeah, and just stand on the desert island and be like, ah. It'd be epic. I'd literally be my own Dune.
Brilliant. One woman tune.
With Never-Ending Story in the middle as well. That'd be really weird.
Yeah, but it'll work. Okay, and then finally, we ask every guest to recommend an actor or a casting director or a creative to look out for.
Oh, obviously Aisha Bywater's who casts lead parts, but also a couple of friends who are writers and their plays are out.
Shout them out.
Faith Amole, whose play was just at the Bush.
Who is that? Sorry, give us the name again.
Faith Amole.
Wicked.
And her play, My Father's Fable, was just at the Bush. I'm sure, I think it will come back somewhere, but the play text is unreal. Like the reveals and surprises in it are just so incredible. So yeah, look out for her.
Wicked. So Aisha and Faith.
Yeah.
Awesome. Lovely stuff. Sarah Kameela Impey, thank you very, very much for joining us on TapeDeck Sessions.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.